Oh, we've got Mark Begvar and Corbin Claypool from the Claypool Mortgage Group in Fresno, Clovis, California. They are kicking butt and taking names with great rates and fees. Matter of fact, if you're going to take a buyer out of their mortgage company that's buying through them, you're going to have cat scratch marks all the way to the car because their rates are so low, and their service is the best. So, yeah, get ready for the cat scratch. All right, so we got Mark and Corbin here. We're going to share today on mortgage rate. They're going to share on the updated market in the loan mortgage industry and their professional knowledge, because we want you to know that we are experiencing what we do and want to give you that information for the buyers and sellers to make an educated choice to buy and who to use when they're buying, right, guys?
Absolutely.
And they're going to share all that positive information, and then I'll share a little bit on the real estate market, Fresno and Madera counties, and we'll share a little bit on national, and then Fresno, Madera counties where you're at, and call us at the end if you'd like. We're here to help. So whoever wants to kick it off on the mortgage information, I know you both had a lot of good information yesterday, and I want to hear it again.
Yeah. So, Mark, do you want to jump in, or you want me to kind of take it away here?
No, take it away. I'll jump in between.
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is forbearances, because that's the thing that's on everybody's mind, that everybody's so worried about, and that's the next doomsday. And the reality of forbearances is we were at about 4 million forbearances when it was really bad. We're now at 1.9 million. So it's decreased by over half. And out of the people that have started on their forbearances or gotten out of their forbearance, there's only 1 to 2% of them that aren't performing on their payments. And that doesn't even mean that they're foreclosing. It just means that they're having trouble making their payments. And so really the performance that we're seeing on the forbearances is really, really good. And that is not going to be a determining factor. You know, I may eat my words one day, but I'm 99% sure that will not be a determining factor in where the market will go or what's going to happen in the market. Because the other thing that we want to look at is the CFPB, which regulates mortgages and the industry and all that, is really cracking down on these mortgage companies and really making sure that they are not hurting the consumer, that they're giving them options, that they're putting it on the back end of their loan, that they're putting it on. I've even heard of some of them making a silent second, where they put a silent second on there for the payments owed. But most likely they're not going to just come back and say, okay, you missed $18,000 worth of payments over the last year, and now you have to make all those up at once. That's just not going to happen. The other thing I want to talk about is Ginnie Mae, which, you know, regulates VA and FHA and all that kind of stuff, and they have parts of that. But there's this thing being talked about, the 40-year mortgage and all that. And so I've done some research on it, and it's not a 40-year mortgage where a new first-time home buyer can come in, and maybe it evolves to that and they do that, but it's not a 40-year mortgage to where they can come in and just put 3.5% down and be on a 40-year mortgage. This 40-year mortgage term that they're coming out with is meant for people that are struggling on their payments and having issues, and they have to be basically already in an extended period of time. They have to be over the 360 months. That's the normal 30-year mortgage in order to even qualify for that program. I'm not sure. It could maybe change to where maybe they'll make it 40 years for everybody. But people at first were thinking that it's, oh my gosh, they're going to offer 40-year to everybody. No, it's for the people who are struggling. So my point of this is they're coming out with different products, information, things to make sure that the consumer is highly protected while we're coming out of these forbearances. Not only to mention on the real estate side, which Greg, you can get into this. People like to bring up the 2007 collapse, and they like to bring up all the crap that happened in 2007, and that's where this is at. In 2007, there were 3.7 million homes for sale in the United States. Right now, there's only 1 million homes for sale. That is it. So there's literally almost 3 million less homes for sale now. And that's just a rough number. I'm giving estimates here, but there's literally almost 3 million less homes for sale now. And there's higher buyer demand, and people have more equity than they ever have. It's just these whole things about the doom and gloom is just really not something that's in reality when you actually look at the statistics and the numbers on where we're at. And so that's just the one thing I really want to drive home. Now, could we see a correction? We're probably going to see a correction of some sort, because as the inventory rises, it's going to be less competitive for the sellers, in the sense that maybe they don't have 30 offers on a freaking property in 2 days, right? Maybe they only have 3 or 4. And, so the prices aren't being driven up, because what's happening is there's no supply and there's high demand, so the prices are being driven up. But when the supply picks up and the demand stays roughly the same, then we're going to get into more of a normal market. So we could see it correct a little bit, in my opinion. It's going to continue to rise.
Let me share on this real quick. I want to get, for the public, the normal public may not know, because there's such a small amount of forbearances, right? Forbearances are basically, I want to make sure I have this right. You guys add to this or correct it. The forbearance is when there's a buyer in a home, and due to COVID or another circumstances during this COVID situation, a year and a half, they've lost their job, their income is significantly reduced, they can't make the full payment of the payment on the house, and what they're doing is the banks are working with them to, in some form or fashion, however they put it on the back end of the loan, or different terms that they use, to make it good and affordable for that buyer, to not take advantage of that buyer, because the federal government, they're watching this very strictly. They want to make it about the consumer and the buyer, so that they keep their home, because they learned their lesson for 2008, 2012. They went through that market, and that's why they're doing all this, to be fair to the owners of the properties. Now, does that sound right, guys? On the forbearance?
Absolutely, yeah. The CFPB and regulatory agencies are cracking down hard on these lenders, and if these lenders do anything sketchy, they're going to have to answer to God, basically, because those companies, they have the final say on what happens with their businesses. So
yeah, I've talked to a few buyers in homes, and the banks are working with them. So there's not a lot of, because I watched the notice of defaults, where buyers are 90 days, and it's recorded with the county on their mortgages, and there's not very many of them. Mm-mm. So this internet, Google, wherever people are getting this information that's false, and I'm getting it when I open up my internet. So I just internet stuff, and people want to pray and hope that some market's going to collapse. That is not happening. There's 4 market cycles, right? There's a market up, then there's a market neutral, there's a market correcting down, which is a slow down trend, and there's a market collapse, like we went in 08. That only happens every 60 to 80 years, that collapse. That's not happening. That's not even close to happening. What we're going to have is, like you said, Corbin, slightly up or a neutral market, where you're going to have plenty of inventory to choose from, buyers now and in the future. So it's a great time for buyers with the low rates, and a great time for sellers to still get a good price for their house.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to hit on too, and then I'll shut up and let Mark take the ropes on his side, is people like to bring in the how Fresno's appreciating and where we're going. And the reality of it is Fresno's probably going to be a high-priced market eventually. I mean, I'm not saying right away, but it's going to eventually be a high-priced market. And when we look at affordability versus income versus the appreciation, what the news is going to tell you is, the market's appreciating 10 to 15%. There's no way incomes can keep up, because the income's not increasing at 10 to 15%. And Greg, I talked to you a little about this yesterday, and the reality of it is incomes don't need to increase 10% to keep up with the appreciation. Let's say it appreciates 10%. These are just rough numbers, and it makes the payment on a home $100 more than it would have been a year ago if the interest rate's the exact same. When we look at what's needed to offset that in income, it's actually only about 2%, right? So if you have $5,000 gross income, which is roughly the average income, and you get an income raise year over year at only 2%, that's an extra $100 a month that you're going to be making. So that $100 a month offsets that extra $100 in the 10% appreciation. And so when we look at that, the affordability is actually keeping up. And when we look at the income week over week, it's actually week over week, year over year, it's actually not appreciating. The income's going up about 7%. So this market could actually handle a 15 to 20% appreciation. Not saying that's good for the market, but as far as affordability and income, people will be able to qualify for those mortgages. And so
So I want to put it in basic layman's numbers for the public. And I think I heard this right. I'm taking notes as you're speaking because it's great information. If the prices go up about 10% on a home, a buyer only needs about 2 or 3% more income, assuming that I'm assuming that as buyers maxed out right now. They're maxed out. They can qualify at this amount, and the prices go up 10%. For them to get that 10% higher price, all they need to do is come in with 2 or 3% more income.
Right.
That's hard. Nothing.
Yep. Which year over year, when we measure what people are making in a week versus year over year, it's rising at about 7%. So we're rising higher than 2% by a good amount.
So they can qualify all day, twice on Sunday.
I mean, Mark, me and Mark, we're not having this qualifying.
They don't clear it up like you do. That's important.
Yeah. But Mark, you want to chime in?
I just go back to where we're at and the media portraying this market. The media wants to put doom and gloom into everything because it's sensational. And the fact of the matter is we're still in a great market. Yes, there are more homes coming onto the market. And Greg, you'll speak to this in a second for sure. But that's only because older America is now a little more confident. People are getting vaccinated and they're opening the doors a little bit. They're selling their homes. The listings are opening up because of basically a health-related issues going away for the most part. But here's right. Yeah. But here's where I see a surge. And this is what is going to get out. All these FHA buyers, all of these buyers that we pre-approved over the last 6 to 8 months that unfortunately, even though they were quick, easy loans, listing agents, sellers didn't want to accept those offers first. They wanted cash or conventional for in most cases, obvious reasons. Those folks are going to start hearing, hey, the market's opening up. We have opportunity. And I think we're going to see another surge of buyers into the market because of that.
Bingo. Man, that hit right on the nose. That's why we like to have 3 professionals on this show. 1 from the real estate and 2 from the mortgage, because
there you go.
Everybody's got some good information here that the other guy may not have, right? Or absolutely expand on it. That's huge because we have, as you know, the agents you're working with and myself, we have multiple clients now moving forward. They're not even waiting now. I'm calling and saying, now it's time.
Yep.
You have more listings to choose from. Let's go. Let me give you an example. I pulled up one area where, 90 days ago, I'd have 1 house in a subdivision or 2. Mm-hmm. Now there's 4 or 5. It's plenty more inventory. So we get these buyers that were on the fence into a property, and any new buyers, don't hesitate now. You've got the low interest rates and the volume to choose from. So it's a good time to buy. Absolutely. Get off the fence. Right? Yeah. Get off the fence. Yeah. Rates are still great. You guys want to share on the rates now? How we looking at anything?
Yeah, sure. I mean, rates this week, right now we've kind of hit this median to where rates are just 2.875 to 3.125 to 3.25, a little bit lower for government loans. This week we're looking pretty good. Actually, one of our loan officers is going through and locking our pipeline today because I do feel like it's a really good day to lock. Rates today, I noticed we're in the high 2s, which is awesome for purchases and for refis too. So yeah, actually at the beginning of this week, our VA rates were 2.375 with 0 points and nothing, which was surprising to me. And that's without an underwriting fee or without anything. It was just a simple processing fee, and it was 2.375. So I haven't seen rates that good in a bit. Not saying that the rates are getting much better. We were just in a good adjustment this week, and it fluctuates all the time. But that's where we're at right now.
Okay, let me ask a question to the professional mortgage lenders here. Where do you see the rates going right now? What's the buzz out there? Any good, real, honest information you can land on this podcast?
Yeah.
Whether you think the rates are going to be through the rest of the year or to the foreseeable future?
So I think the Fed, I mean, Mark, if you want to jump in on this, feel free, man. But I think the Fed's announced that they're not going to make any rate changes until 2023. So it's going to be a while. As far as the rates going up, I mean, the lenders could definitely up their rates. but I think that it's going to stay pretty stable until we reach a more normal economy. So another thing I want to hit on is if you look at the economy overall, we haven't had the full effects of COVID of what it did to our economy. So not talking about real estate, just talking about the economy overall. If we do see a lull, and this is something that I was listening to a couple rate professionals in the industry talk about, they were saying that it could even drop the rates again if we hit some sort of recession or lull. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think right now we're just going to kind of stay where we're at, and maybe for the next 6 months to a year. Mark, you want to hit on that?
Yeah, I think that is exactly what's going to happen. I think we're going to stay between that 2.875, maybe get up to 3.375, but still historically low rates. Still, like we're all on here saying, still a great time to buy with no real negative. The market's not going to come back. There's not going to be a decrease in home values. None of that. It's going to keep going up. It may go up a little bit more slowly in the coming months and years, but it's still going to keep going up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think that Fresno, this is just a personal opinion without any backing behind it, but I just think that Fresno is going to turn into, unfortunately, another Bay Area or something of that nature, where things maybe not that expensive, but I think we are going to be one of the higher priced areas. I mean, we are one of the last places in California that have amazing schools. We're an hour away from the mountains. We're 2 hours away from the beach. Like, once people realize it, like, I can work from home, buy something here. It's just, I just think that's where it's going. That's a personal opinion, but
I agree. I think it's almost, if you look at an empty bucket with North and Southern California on either side of it, it's just going to fill that bucket up. It's going to rise to that level. It's going to be another San Jose. And so it's a great investment opportunity for home buyers as well.
Absolutely, it is. And let me share on that to back that up. And that's that your personal thoughts on that, Corbin and Mark, are absolutely correct. Because in 2017, there was an article that came out for Fresno, Madera County in the housing and real estate market. For a very popular publisher of magazines and real estate, they do studies, and they said Fresno and Madera County will be the fastest growing counties in California for the next 20 years because they're the most affordable place. Industry, work, blue collar and white collars coming into Fresno and the Clovis, Madera area here. And people from the Bay Area, Los Angeles, San Diego, Central Coast, and San Jose, San Francisco are moving into this area. And even some other people from out of state because it's an affordable California area, and for all the other reasons that you just mentioned. So that's happening. That study's actually becoming very true. So I think we have another 16 years of this, and we're going to grow quite a bit. Heck, we might even go to the point where we have a professional baseball or football team one day, or
right.
Right?
That's exactly what I've been thinking, man. Imagine if things got more and more populated to where we start turning into one of these big cities. I mean, even Magic Mountain. Did you guys hear about that? They're having talks about coming to Fresno.
No way.
It's just speculative, but things of that nature are going to be here, I think, in the next 20, 30 years. And I mean, really, the weather's pretty mild here, guys, compared to the rest of the nation, right? I mean, we get hot in the summer for 2 to 3 months, but other than that, it's pretty good weather year round. It gets a little cold in the winter, but you can bundle up for that and have a for the summertime. So, yeah, I think Fresno is going to be a booming market for a long time, and we're kind of in our own little sanctuary over here, man. So
it's great for investors with rents going up, prices holding strong, and been going up. Price been going up on the houses for 5 years, right, guys? Since 2015, and even more. So it's still a great time to buy here. Interest rates are still low. That's good information. Anything else you guys want to share before I take about 3-4 minutes and share?
Yeah, no, that's
okay. Good stuff. Basically, I'm just backing up what you guys said. We kind of shared it as we went along. The real estate end of it, the listings in the last 30 days have went up 13.6 more inventory. However, they're getting absorbed where they're getting bought up, but most of them. So there's more inventory for buyers to have, which is good. The days on the market, meaning how long they take a listing, how long does it take to sell? In April, it was 21 days. In May, it was 18 days on the market, which means they list it and it's in escrow with the accepted offer. And now it's down to 16 days. So the market's actually speeding up, not slowing down. There's just more inventory because there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is they released everybody off of COVID. The fear factor's leaving, right? Sellers know where the market is. They need to sell now. Buyers have inventory to take advantage of the rates. And in some properties, we're not having to have multiple offers and bid them up. So it's in some cases you can do that now. So buyers have the opportunity with the market on the listings that's out there. It's deemed as a neutral market on the prices for the sellers. So they're being realistic on their prices now, which is good. That's a benefit to the buyers. So buyers, get to Corbin and Mark, get pre-approved. We'll help you with that. Mark said this earlier that I didn't know this. Fresno, Madera County is one of the hottest markets in the United States because we're at 27 days on the market. Average. That's ranches, land, houses, and everything. And when you combine all that, because ranches and land take a lot longer to sell, commercial property takes a lot longer to sell. I'm putting everything in that. We're at 27 days, right?
Yep.
Of that. And when you have just houses, it's 16 days. But there's another one that's 27 days, meaning if we didn't take another listing today, any of the brokers stopped taking listings, and there was no more listings, in 27 days, we'd be out of inventory. There would be any houses for sale. That is a strong market. So you're just in a great market for the sellers and the buyers. It continues to be that way. It's been that way for, guys, I'd say about 2 years now.
Yeah.
It continues to be that way.
Yeah,
really,
I think
that's the key components of what I wanted to share. It's a great market for everybody.
It is. I think nationally, the inventory, if they didn't list another home, was 2.3 months. And here we're running, what did you say, 27 days? I mean, that tells you we're one of the hottest markets in the U.S. It really does.
Yeah, right.
Still.
And I want to share one more thing, and you guys will attest to this. And because people believe what they hear, see, or read, right? And they don't know how accurate the information is. With us, we can give the accurate information. The forbearances, the people that are in default, all of these things because of this dream world of a collapse or market correction. Look, there's a very small amount of defaults, and the banks are working with the ones that are there. Everybody that has a house right now deserves to be in that house with a great credit, a job, and they're working. They don't want to screw that up. The banks are working with them. That market is not coming for you. That is not coming for you. And the very small amount that does come next year, it's going to be so small. You better have cash because the banks are going to want cash.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So do you have it? Well, then what are we waiting for? You don't have $300,000 in the bank. Yeah. There's no opportunity there. And here's another thing from the banks. You guys could probably back this up too. The banks that I'm talking to, the very small amount of foreclosures that are on the market right now, it's less than 1 or 2%. I mean, that's how small amount is. There's nothing there. I really look to try to find one in Fresno. It's stacked up. When that happens, the banks are holding to the market price with all the other listings, and they're getting market price.
Sure.
So I don't know. This is just internet stuff they're reading, and other stuff they want to hear, or other agents or somebody telling them these things that are not true. So it's confusing them, and we need to give them the accurate information like we do on this podcast. And the Absolutely. Time to buy it now, I don't think waiting is going to serve them at all. You guys agree with that?
I agree. Totally. Yeah. No, I think that waiting, man, is just pricing them out. Honestly, it's just getting more and more expensive. So, and it's going to be a bad combination for people too, because it's going to get more and more expensive, and then maybe the interest rates go up not in the near future, but down the road, and now they're in a really bad spot.
That makes the payment go up if the rates go up, right?
Yeah, the payment goes up. They don't qualify for as much. So not only
I agree. If I was a buyer, I'd buy right now, and we can attest. All three of us on this podcast, Greg, Corbin, and Mark, we have all bought a house this year in 2021. I closed the deal in March, right, or February, March.
Yep.
Corbin closed one about the same time, I would say April.
Yep.
Around, and Mark about the same time.
Yep.
So we're all within the last 4 months we've closed transactions.
Yep.
And we're talking time to buy. So that is enough proof in the pudding. It's time to buy. Yeah.
It is.
You guys, any last minute thoughts you want to share and then end up give your information up, because I'm sure people would like to reach out to you.
No, I think thank you for having us on. It was awesome, and it was real informative. So I think this will debunk and help some people out there, hopefully.
I would only add that, there's the process of buying a home can be really mysterious. And the three of us here, can take the mystery out of that in 10 minutes worth of conversation. And even if you don't think you're ready, we can build you a roadmap to be ready. But you need to get started. You need to pick up the phone. You need to call somebody who knows what they're doing and take the mystery out of it. And let's get started on the process. You may be very, very surprised to know that you can buy a house right now.
I'm glad you shared that, Mark, because we have probably 3 or 4 buyers we're helping right now.
Yep.
We're fixing. They want to buy. Some of them have to sell. A couple of them have to sell, but they got to get their credit right. We're repairing it right now. So it's really 45 days on one and about 90 on another, and a couple is about 30. And they're going to be ready to list and sell or just buy if they're not selling. And we have 4 of them like that, I believe, right now in the pipeline. And that's what we do. We're here to help you. We're a good source of that. So Corbin's the manager of the Claypool Group, I would say. Corbin Claypool at Nexa Mortgage. His number is 559-313-5819. 559-313-5819.
313-5819. And feel free to give any of us a call. Mark, you can give Mark a call too. Mark's the business development manager.
Give up that number, Mark. Come on.
My number is 559-213-0690.
213-0690.
That's it.
213-0690. And my number is scrolling across the bottom right there, Greg, 559-261-777, GregReitz.com. I want to say, guys, thank you for being on the show, getting the facts great. It helped the public. It helped me. And it is time to get the truth. So that's what we do. We are called The Truth Show right here. So,
amen.
We'll set the record straight. All right, guys. You have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Bye-bye.